What's going on, hockey fans? Peter from YHH here. A very, very special episode of the Minnesotan Pod, recorded here in beautiful Summerlin, Nevada, home of the practice facility for the Vegas Golden Knights. Our guest on this episode of the Minnesotan is John Penhollow, formerly of Minnetonka, Minnesota, where he worked for the Minnesota Vikings. John is the president of business operations for arguably the NHL's most dynamic franchise, the Vegas Golden Knights. We talk everything with John, from growing up in Western New York, helping build Yankee Stadium and US Bank Stadium while he was with the Yankees and Vikings, respectively, running the business operations of the Vegas Golden Knights, and what the Golden Knights franchise might have up its sleeve to help develop more hockey players out here in the desert. Hope you enjoy.
You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota.
What's going on, hockey fans? Peter from YHH here. Very, very excited to introduce a special guest of the Minnesotan Pod, Mr. John Penhollow, the president of everything here with the Vegas Golden Knights. John, thanks for taking the time out of your busy, busy day to chat with me.
Thank you, Peter. Good to see you.
I caught you at 5 p.m. on a work day, and I've ruined your evening so far.
No, it's my pleasure. I've been a fan of what you and Tony have built over there for many years, and for 12 years while we lived in Minnesota, I really got to enjoy all the content you pushed out there. And to think that you're here and you want to talk Vegas Golden Knights, among many other things, it's an honor.
I'm gonna blush, John.
Well,
I have a gift for you. So I would like you to spell your name for our audience, your last name.
all right. It's like a hollow pen, but Penhollow. So P as in Paul, Enhollow.
Okay, so I got you a copy of the children's classic, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, for John Penn.
All right. It's interesting. You know, with
It
all
was
your
$6.
with all your hockey contacts, I was expecting something hockey related, but I'm going to read this tonight.
No,
this
see,
is great.
My favorite thing to do when I give someone a gift is to make it completely non-hockey related.
Okay.
So, and I didn't have time to stop at Office Max, but I was going to get you a set of my favorite pens.
Okay.
Which are these Pilot G2, the 1.0.
Those
big
are
ones.
wonderful.
All right, but I got a
High
chuckle
quality
out of you.
pen.
That was the goal.
You got me. You had me at Sleepy Hollow. That's great.
Now let's go all the way back to the beginning. A little boy, John Penhollow, growing up in Jamestown, New York. Am I correct on that?
That's right.
All right, Western New York.
Yeah, right in the shadows of Buffalo Sabres, Buffalo Bills country. I was one of six. 4 of us boys all played hockey at one time.
Oh, God.
So my mother and father were amazing. My mom drove us all over the state of New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Canada. There was always some of the most amazing trips to play hockey. So really fortunate to grow up there.
Were you a Buffalo Regal or a Junior Sabre?
Oh, okay. So you know some specific teams there.
A little bit,
okay,
yeah.
So when I grew up there, I played for Jamestown.
Okay.
Until I was peewee age, and then I went up to Buffalo and played for the Hamburg Hawks.
Okay.
So I was there for 2 years of peewee, 1 year of Bantam, and then I came back to Jamestown to play on the. At the time, they had the ability to do both midget. They called it midget at the time.
16. It's 16U.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
And high school. So they don't do this now, but at the time we could play 2 different high school leagues. So we played in what they called the South Towns League with all the Buffalo high schools, and then we played in a high school with Erie Cathedral Prep, Meadville, those schools
Heavy
down in
hitters.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, Meadville was a powerhouse. And then we separately played the midget schedule. It's so funny. I found like an old piece of paper during this move, and I found the stats from that year, and we played 65 games, which is unheard of. I mean, but we played 3 different leagues essentially. So I played for the Hamburg Hawks. The Regals were always a tough one. Mm-hmm. The Junior Sabres, though, were not a team for any of us to take part of.
Okay.
They were truly a junior team. So call it the 17, 18, 19-year-olds. Now that's a robust Tier 1 program for, I want to say they start maybe 10s.
Yeah, they might go all the way down to 9s.
And they're great.
Yeah,
we saw them at a tournament this year in one of my son's tournaments, and it was definitely surreal to see that uniform, the classic blue and gold. And I just sort of said to Walker, my son, like, geez, I wish they would have had this when I was a kid, because to play for the Sabres. And But that's a lot like what these kids feel now. They get to play for the Junior Golden Knights or the Junior Pens or the Junior Hurricanes, and they get to wear the same uniform as the parent club. It's really neat to see the smile on these kids' faces when they throw the jerseys on.
Oh, 4 of you played hockey, but when you were growing up, I mean, that's right during the Bills dynasty run. So Western New York is pretty football heavy. How many kids would normally come out for a Western New York hockey team at a high level?
Well, hockey was big. I mean, it's still big now. It's as big as it's ever been. But we had a really strong support for youth hockey. The amount of kids that came out during that time, I'm same age range as like a Kevin Adams. There were a bunch of kids. Scotty Bowman's kid. I mean, there were a bunch of us that were right around that early 90s coming out. And I would say the support was great. That's all I can remember. I remember full crowds, and we played in some of the old school hockey rinks, some of which have been renovated. There are some new rinks in Buffalo now, certainly. But we'd go to Toronto and play in their massive suburban tournament, which was crazy. We were pretty good, and we'd go up there and come back humbled. Would be the easiest way to say it.
Humbled by the Canadians. Okay.
They were great. They were great, and but it was really fun to grow up in that. At that time, we had, as Sabres fans, we got to watch Pat LaFontaine, who was my favorite guy of all time.
Greatest slap shot I've ever seen.
Great. You got to play with Alexander Mogilny, so we had some really great teams to follow at that time. It started with Gilbert Perreault when I was younger, but it led into kind of that late 80s grouping of LaFontaine, Mogilny, and they were fun to watch. And then the team, when they picked up Hasek, it turned the corner. Then it was like, now they've got all the ingredients to really do something. But then I was off doing my thing in the professional world, and I was able to follow the Sabres from afar.
Okay.
And I certainly cheer for them every time we can. Now I happen to work for another NHL team. So
so your loyalties might have to be a little quieter than they
a little
normally
bit.
are.
My son did ask, well, what if the Sabres and the Golden Knights get there? Because there was a moment there where maybe
thought it might happen. Okay.
Maybe, and but we'll see.
So as a longtime Sabres fan, I got to ask, was Brett Hull in the crease?
Yes.
He was? See, I think he was, too.
He absolutely was in the crease.
I think he was, too. I was on vacation with my dad. We were up on the North Shore of Minnesota, and I loved the Sabres because I thought, number one, it was I loved the Buffalo Head logo, the black and the red, and I also loved the fact that they had a guy who's Miroslav Shatan.
Oh, yeah.
But as a kid, I was like, Satan. His last name's Satan. That's so funny.
Well, I'll tell you, it's so funny you bring that memory up. So when I was in graduate school at Canisius College, that was when they opened KeyBank Arena, and that's also when they closed Memorial Auditorium, old school barn. Old school barn. It was like the Boston Garden, very similar design. You're like on top of the players. It's tight. So the last game in that arena, they did this interesting ceremonial thing. You can find it on YouTube, where they had all the key players skate the puck around the ice one time, and it finished with LaFontaine. LaFontaine pushes the puck into the net. The lights go out in the odd. Place goes bonkers. They played the Hartford Whalers that night. So then the Sabres move into KeyBank Arena, and that's also when they launched that black and red configuration of a jersey. Yeah. And the Western New York went crazy for it.
Yeah.
It was, we all love the gold and the blue, but that black and red was really cool. It was different. And then the team got hot. Then they go on the run. They get all the way to the end there. But, yeah, I think Brett Hull's foot was in the crease.
Definitely. His foot was definitely in the crease.
Yeah.
D1 club at Kent State, and off camera just now, you told me that it was legit Division I CCHA, and then midway through your freshman year, they ended up cutting the program at that level.
Yeah, fall semester. It was just a victim at the time of Title IX. The university needed to get some finances in order, and which was tough because there were some great players on campus at that time. But they finished the season, kids started to scatter, and then there were enough people still on campus to really lean into what was going to be a D1 club team. And it was still great hockey. We still traveled the country. It was still playing for a national championship. It's just really fun to see where it is now, though. As we were talking just offline, I might be off on the number, but it's 67, 68 programs at the NCAA level. So there's still a lot of great hockey players out there in the United States and Canada that are good enough to play. There just aren't enough spots. Right. And so I love the fact that now D1 and D2 club, it's some of the biggest and best universities are fielding these teams. So it's a great opportunity. We have, I know we'll talk more about what's going on here in Vegas, but UNLV is a D1 men's club program that won the national championship, which is crazy for people to hear that there's a team in Vegas that won a national championship. But I get to watch these guys most afternoons outside my own office, and some really talented players. They all have a story. And so it's really fun to see them continue on and hear what the next generation is going to have.
My alma mater, the University of Jamestown in North Dakota, got hockey the year I graduated, and they play at the club level. And I think people severely underestimate not only what you just said, the level of talent at the D1 club level, but also the amount of fun that the kids have. It's truly the best of both worlds, of the academic and the athletic side.
I mean, listen, I was destined to work in professional sports, not play a professional sport. I think I was pretty good coming out of Western New York, but I mean, really, the guys were at a different level when I was coming out. But it just was a great outlet for me to still compete, play at a high level. I played with some really talented people that almost got their cup of coffee at one point. So I don't look back with any regret. I was far enough along in my studies, even after 1 year, that I was going to stay and graduated early and went right to graduate school. And the funny small world story on that one, though, is that I go to Canisius, and I still had eligibility left because I graduated in 3.5 years.
Okay.
And Brian Cavanaugh was still the coach at Canisius at the time, and he and I remembered each other from when I was coming out of high school. Mm-hmm. And so we filed a letter with the NCAA to get me pushed through the system to be allowed to skate with Canisius using that extra year of eligibility. But Canisius at the time had men's football, men's basketball, and men's hockey were the three major men's sports. So I was not allowed to continue for that 5th year, which was unfortunate. So instead I played golf. And
what a consolation
We
prize.
were terrible, but I got to play college golf at Canisius, and it was a lot of fun. And then I ended up working with Brian and his staff from a sports information director perspective. And so I still got to be part of that college program. And for the 1 year I was in grad school there, and so got to see it at a high level. At the time, they were ECAC.
Okay.
And now they've since changed conferences.
Well, they're in something like the
it's called the American.
Yeah, there's there's a conference out there that has a couple of schools. Like I think Long Island might be in that one too.
Yeah, I think they're with Quinnipiac as well. And same thing though, just great hockey players that are going to a school that maybe most haven't heard of, but really talented players. Great coaching staff. Got to know their coach a little bit over the last few years, and they made the NCAA. Actually, they ran into the Gophers a couple years ago.
They gave them a run for it.
They played okay, but Gophers were the Gophers. They were beyond deep, and that was a tough one. So
you have so many teams that you're supposed to support: Kent State, Canisius, the Bills, the Sabres, the Golden Knights. How many quarter zips do you own?
Oh gosh, many. You know what's? So many funny things you said that. I might be the only goofball in this country that went to. I played for the Golden Flashes, Kent State. Yeah. The Golden Griffins of Canisius. Oh. And now I work for the Golden Knights. I swear that I didn't do that on purpose. It's unheard of. But no, we've had an amazing journey here, our family. I'm almost 30 years into this now since leaving Kent, and we've lived all over the country. I've worked for some amazing teams, for some amazing properties. Yeah. Built stadiums, renovated stadiums, and now 1 year in here in Vegas, and gosh, we almost won the Stanley Cup. Yeah. It was really unbelievable.
Golden Flashes, Golden Griffins, Golden Knights. It's safe to say Pony Boy's got nothing on you, John.
Nice outsider.
Yeah, you like that? I like to throw in inane literature references. Yeah. Right now I'm reading All the King's Men, which is, it was originally published in, I think, 1949, but it's a Pulitzer Prize winner, and I'm trying to force myself to read more fiction. And the prose is so heavy, John. Yeah. I find myself making these ridiculous jokes around the rink, and people stare at me, so maybe it's all the reading.
You just walk by and just say Pony Boy Curtis, see if anyone
Yeah.
picks their head up. And
People in our age bracket,
yeah, I think so.
I think they would know.
I think so. I think Walker had to read that in class a couple years ago. So.
Every kid should read The Outsiders.
Absolutely.
Let's be real.
Absolutely.
Your professional careers spanned multiple leagues, multiple teams, so many different levels. The NBA, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Yankees. Tell me a little bit about the NBA, because the NBA was coming out of this 90s bruiser time, and frankly, basketball that wasn't much fun to watch unless you were a fan of the New York Knicks or the Detroit Pistons or the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
And in the early 2000s, at least from my recollection, it felt like the NBA really tried to lean in into ball handling and more of a showy type of play. So as the marketing partnerships manager, was that something you tried to sell brands on? Like, we're going to play really fun, up-tempo, high-scoring basketball.
So I arrived there in basically September, late August, September of 01, which was a fascinating time to be there. Michael Jordan had moved on.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other key players had moved on. Guys like Allen Iverson were becoming the face of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first week on the job was minutes after they finalized the deal with Reebok. At the time, okay?
What a throwback.
At the time, it was the largest footwear deal ever done. It
Yeah.
was 10 years, $100 million. And this is well reported. I'm not, divulging anything confidential.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were basically like, John, okay, you need to get to know everything about Reebok. You need to go to Boston, get to know that entire staff. But at the time, they had Allen Iverson, they had a few other key players, and they were going to go head-to-head with Nike and Adidas and Puma and Converse and everything else. And so the game at that time, it was a little bit different. Jordan had kind of ridden off into the sunset. Now, while I was there, he did come back and play a few different games with the Washington Wizards, but it was an amazing time. Shaq was a big deal. Kobe was really doing his thing. Young Kobe, though.
Oh, yeah. Afro Kobe.
Yep. But I would tell you that on the business side, because I had very little to do with the players, I was on the business side, it was like the greatest collection of really smart people in that business setup. Commissioner David Stern.
Legend.
He would come down once a week and speak to us on the 17th floor, which is where the partnerships group was. And it was like someone came down from the heavens to impart their wisdom on us. He was so smart. He may have only spoken to us 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, but he always had something interesting for us to think about. And a lot of the people that I had a chance to work with, they've all moved on to some really great things.
Yeah.
Emilio Collins is someone I work really closely with. He's in charge of leading an entire agency called Excel.
Okay.
He's there. He's sort of like my peer there, and he's great. David Lynch is with the NFL now. I mean, these guys are all over. Mike Flaherty was someone I was really friends with. We were both young, trying to cut our teeth.
Yeah.
He's a big shot at Nike, and he's been with Nike ever since he left the league. So it's just fun to see where everyone went after that run. Mark Tatum was an executive at the time. Now he's a deputy commissioner.
How about
And so
that?
when you see him starting with draft round number 2,
Yeah.
that's Mark Tatum. One of the smartest guys you'll ever run into, one of the kindest, most authentic. And we all got to work with these guys. So it was a fun memory. Really happy to do it at that time.
Yeah, and David Stern, I don't know how many hockey fans know that Gary Bettman learned at the knee of David
That's right.
Stern for years and years and years.
I'll test you here. Do you know the firm that they were all part of?
The advertising firm?
No, a law firm.
The law firm. Baker Potts.
Proskauer Rose.
Damn it, I
So-
knew that.
Anyone who's bored, and after they listen to this,
I'm
look up
bored.
Proskauer. You want to talk about the Belichick tree, the Commissioner Stern tree, Don Garber, Gary
Okay.
Bettman, Adam Silver. It's like a who's who of all the folks who were at Proskauer at one point in time. Yeah, it's amazing. And so, really, these executives have shaped our entire industry.
It's like the PayPal mafia, but for sports execs.
They're really smart people, and they're all leading a number of the leagues. It's really impressive.
Okay. The Dolphins, we don't have to go totally into your time with the Dolphins, but I would imagine being a Buffalo fan, working for the Dolphins, that must have stunk.
Yeah, so, okay. I'll be transparent with your audience here. That was
Yes.
hard. So my first regular season home game was against the Bills.
Of course it was.
That was the year that they picked up Drew Bledsoe as a quarterback.
Okay.
And I'm in the tunnel at kickoff. And I normally wouldn't be, but I just happened to get stuck down there at that moment. And so I see the opening kickoff, and my friends are texting me. This is 03, so it's still kind of new.
It's
to
10
have text
cents,
message.
man.
Yeah, basically. What are you doing? How could you do this to us? So the first year, both teams were competitive. The Dolphins lost. So this is my 4 years in Miami. Listen to how crazy this is. The first year, we lose in a tiebreaker to get in the playoffs. We were 10-6 and didn't get in. They had Drew Bledsoe. They did okay that year, but we didn't get in. That was Brady's run, right?
Yeah.
So the second year was when Ricky Williams quit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Team struggled. Dave Wannstedt was the coach. He was a great, great guy, great coach. It was unfortunate that it all played out like that.
Yeah.
He leaves. Coach Nick Saban comes in for 2 years. And
I'm sure that went really smoothly.
again, your listeners can look this up. This is like a fascinating, I think it was an ESPN story that traced the butterfly effect of everything that happened. The doctors for the Dolphins did not pass Drew Brees
Yeah.
for his shoulder injury. The Dolphins, Saban wanted him.
Yeah.
He doesn't pass the physical. Saban's not happy about that because we can't get a quarterback at that point. He ends up drafting Ronnie Brown from Auburn, a running back. Great player, but not the same as getting what you hope to be a quarterback. Breeze goes to New Orleans. The rest is history. Miami struggled to get a quarterback for quite a long time. After 2 years, Coach Saban moved on to Alabama. Alabama was below 500. I think his first year he went 500. And then they became the Alabama juggernaut.
Right.
So if you think of what could have happened had Miami passed the physical of Drew Brees, maybe he plays for Miami for 15 years.
Maybe Miami's got a Super Bowl.
Maybe New Orleans doesn't. Maybe Alabama doesn't come back the way they did.
Oh my gosh.
It's really crazy how that, and we were right there. We didn't know in the moment that this was all happening around us,
Yeah.
but within 2-3 years after, you realize, oh my gosh, we were there when that happened. And now you look back at history, and Coach Saban is the best college coach ever. I don't think there should be a debate on that. He's amazing. And to see what he did at Alabama, you just wish, gosh, what if he would have had the quarterback he was hoping for?
Yeah.
Maybe he never would have left the NFL. Who knows? But
Maybe Mike Price never would have gotten fired. I don't know. Maybe they
I don't know. But it was an amazing 4 years there. And then from there, we got the call as a family to go back to New York to build Yankee Stadium. And that was not a hard conversation. It was, they were going to tear down the old one, build a new one.
Yeah.
And I had just started to cut my teeth a little bit on renovating. I was on a renovation project for what became Dolphin Stadium and then later on Hard Rock Stadium. So I started to really figure out a new piece to this industry that I could be pretty good at. And so I go to New York. We build Yankee Stadium. Amazing journey. We got there in 2007. And again, same thing, on and off the field, some wild stories. My first year there in 2007, that was the year Jabba Chamberlain, the pitcher, was getting eaten alive on the pitcher's mound in the playoffs against Cleveland by the midges.
Oh, yeah.
It was a crazy midges mayflies moment on the lakefront in Cleveland.
Like swatting at the back of his neck.
Yeah, they were stopping the game to spray him and everything. It was crazy. That was our first year. Second year, we host the All-Star game at Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium. That was the year Josh Hamilton hit like 30 bombs.
And everyone's
40
crying
bombs.
because he's got this story and he
And
came
then
back.
what happened?
It fell apart again.
He ran out of gas, and Minnesota twin Justin Morneau ended up winning.
Oh, yeah, at the end.
That's right.
But I don't see, no one remembers the end, though. They all remember the first
I remember,
round. Where
I
Josh,
remember Morneau was like, I got this now. And he just, because Hamilton ran out of gas.
Yeah, because he hit like 25 in the first round.
He hit a crazy number in the first 2 rounds, and he just kind of ran out of gas. But so that was that year. And then 2009, we opened the stadium. We won the World Series that year.
Yeah.
So again, back to, I'm this kid from Jamestown, this little small town, and I'm in the parade to celebrate a World Series championship. And the way we did it that year was the staff was mixed in with the players. So there would be a player car or like a flatbed with players and their families, and then be a double-decker bus of us, business people. and then the very next car might be Andy Pettit riding in the back of a convertible.
Yeah.
And so I just remember it vividly, like we're going through this parade and the fans are going crazy. It's beautiful. It's in November in New York. And these people are going crazy clapping, and then they see us and they would sort of clap. Like, wait, who, I'm not sure who that is.
There's one lonely,
and then it'd be Eddie Pettit and they go crazy again. And so
yeah.
it was just a wild adventure, and the 2010 season was great too. But then the calling to go back into the NFL was there, go to Cleveland, and then years later we get the call as a family to go to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I just had this conversation with Walker. Sometimes one door might close, another door opens, and the fact is, if we wouldn't have taken that conversation and gone to Minnesota, who knows where we would have been as a family. At the time we went to Minnesota, all three kids were really young. I'm coming from a hockey family, but I wasn't going to force the young ones into it. Hopefully they could fall into it. And we ended up getting there in October of 13, and we're fast moving on that project. We had to play at the university for 2 years, but we built that stadium very quickly, and really proud of the work that was put in by so many. Really proud of that stadium. And so, but as a family, Walker actually started to do learn to skate over at Minnesota Made. Okay. He was young. He was like 4, 5.
Perfect time.
But Scarlett, his older sister, by a couple years, would go with my wife Meredith, and they would watch. And Scarlett one day asked the most beautiful question ever.
Can I play too?
Yeah. She said, "Dad, can I try that?" So our eyes lit up.
You started crying, and
we
said,
basically,
yes, of course.
Well, we scrounged together equipment for her, mismatched stuff, just to see if she might like it, and she loved it. She started off as an 8U at Minnetonka. No experience. Literally just jumped on the ice. She was a good soccer player, so she was athletic, but no clue what she was doing out there. And I was lucky enough to help out coaching there that first year, but she just loved it. And then she got pretty good pretty quickly. Got to be a 10U, kept getting better and better, and then that second year at 10U, they had a really good team, that 10A team, with Stella Bertliot. I mean, the team was awesome. And then they get to 12s. That was the team in 21 that basically ran the table in the season. They only lost 3 times during the year.
Twice to Edina.
Yep.
And there would have been one more. Alexandria?
Proctor Hermantown. So, and the reason I remember all of this, if all of you remember, but we had to be creative with how we covered the games because of the pandemic. So I started streaming the games. And these games are still, some of these games are still online. I found one the other night.
Go find the archive somewhere.
Yeah, it's from like 20 and 21. And so that year, Scarlett's team, Ellen Nonweiler, Allie Ryan, the team was loaded.
Yeah.
It was like Katya Sander.
Mm-hmm.
This team was amazing. They were juggernauts all season. They split with Proctor Hermantown during the year, and then they split with Edina during the year. But they go to the state tournament as the 1 seed favored. Mm-hmm. And the way those pairings sometimes work, you might catch a bad first opponent.
Don't.
The only team that really could go toe-to-toe with Scarlett's team was that Proctor team. And they beat them.
Oh, my gosh.
They had a forward, Ella
Kelps?
Ella Roth?
Oh, Rothe.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Roth or Rothe, but
yeah, they were great. They had 2 or 3 players that were really dynamic, and so the team lost. They got upset in the first, and then you can't come back.
No, because it's bracket play.
So they end up running the table after that. It didn't matter, but like my son actually remembers that team so well because he got to watch a lot of those games, and he's like, "Dad, that's like one of the best 12U teams that ever played." Right? I said, I don't know. I mean, it feels like that team was really dynamic.
Yeah.
All the lines could score. All the defense are great. We had great goaltending.
Yeah. And you get that perfect timing. Sometimes you don't notice it until high school because when they're split by age like that, some kids are just 1 year too old and some kids are 1 year behind, so they don't line up perfectly at the youth level. But once they get to high school, then they're all on the same team.
Yeah, and I mean, you know Minnesota hockey better than anyone, that the 12s, just like the Pee-wees, it's sort of the most interesting and most competitive grouping because the small school kids, when they get to Bantams, are probably good enough to make some of their high school teams.
Yep.
So Bantams becomes a little more diluted. And on the girls' side, some go to play 15s, but many are good enough as 8th graders and freshmen to go make their varsity. And so 15 becomes a little diluted.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like that 12s and the Pee-wees. It felt like all my years there when I got to watch, that was like an amazing brand of hockey.
Yeah.
And so Walker continued to progress up his path. And he played for some great coaches as well. And we were lucky enough to coach them when they were young, but then they get to the point where no more parents.
Yeah.
But he was on that team with Dean Stevens and Colton Nash, the whole grouping, when they won the Pee Wee AA state championship with Andy Brink. And so Andy Brink, really the best coach that Walker really ever had at that youth level.
Yeah.
And still talk to Andy. He checks in on Walker every once in a while. And that was a really amazing group. And to think where these kids are now. So like Scarlett's grouping, those kids are all graduating now, or they just graduated a month ago. And they're all going to play at some really great schools. I mean, Katya's going to be a Gopher.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? Allie Ryan's going back east. Ella Nonweiler's going back east. Really, they're all going to some great schools. Ella Stewart, I think, is going to St. Thomas, I want to say. Pretty
It's
sure.
a good question.
I think she's going
couldn't
there.
remember.
So it's really fun to see where these kids have gone. And now to see Walker's grouping, a couple of those kids start to get drafted in the juniors.
Makes you feel old.
And Dean made the national team. It's
Yep.
like...
And you know that whole thing, right, where he was out at the NTDP camp and he flew back the night before the state tournament.
Yeah.
No one really knew if he was going to come back. I asked the Tonka Bantam AA coach, is Dean here? And he just kind of gave me a look. Like, he didn't give me a committal answer either way. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw a kid with his hood up sitting along the wall, doing Dean Stevens things before a game.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
kind of like,
Well, that group of kids. I mean, listen, that was exciting and hard to watch at the same time because that would have been the team Walker was on had we stayed. But he and I watched from Lifetime Fitness. We were at the gym because the time difference.
Yeah.
So it's like the afternoon here, but we're watching that Moorhead game.
Oh.
And it was, I want to say 5-2, and then maybe 5-3, and then 6-3 maybe.
I can't remember the
like back and
exact
forth.
scoring procession, but I know that, obviously I was there, so Moorhead had this incredible comeback.
Well, and the one kid from Moorhead scored a hat
Wyatt
trick.
Olson, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm shouting to Walker, like he's like a few machines over. I'm like, 5-2. They got this, bud. They got it. And it was like 6-3, and then it was 6-4, and then they scored that with a pull goalie, and Walker comes running over, and then we watched like that last bit. And that was heartbreaking because Walker grew up with those kids, and they're all great kids and great young men, and it would have been cool to see them win it. But Moorhead obviously is, they're a great program.
It was so poetic because of what had happened at the high school tournament, right?
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
Moorhead completes that comeback and then wins it in overtime, and then they do the same thing at the Bantam
I feel like there'll be a
AA
30 for 30 on this at some point. But
somebody smarter than me is going to do the 30 for 30 on that. The Minnetonka Moorhead rivalry, I would say, has been incredible for the state in general because everyone loves when it's an outstate team versus a metro team, and it's really easy to root against Minnetonka. No offense,
It's all right.
It's really easy to root for Moorhead because people still think of Moorhead as this rinky-dink, one post office town, which it's really not. You should go to Moorhead. It's pretty freaking nice actually.
Yeah.
But watching those teams to go head to head from squirts on has been fabulous.
No, we still get our Minnesota hockey fix being out here. It's funny. They were talking during the NHL draft, and the Cullen family knows this because they probably heard all the reporting. But they were talking about the older brothers, and during the NHL
Brooks?
draft, and Wyatt and Will and the cousins, and then they mentioned Joey. They actually said in the 28 class, Joey will be available, and Walker and I were driving at the time. We looked at each other like, did they literally just mention Joey Stewart during the NHL draft? And which is cool because, again, these kids all played together. And they're a grade ahead of Walker, even though they're both 2010s. Walker's a young 10.
Okay.
But, we just marvel when we watch kids like Dean and Joey play. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, it makes me feel both nostalgic, sad, happy, to see these kids that, they used to be little shits running around at the Squirtacular, and I used to have to say, hey, stop throwing that rock at that window. And now they're, walking across the stage at the NHL draft.
It really is wild to see. And then the kid right behind this Colton Nash.
He's okay.
He's okay, yeah. I tell his dad all the time when I see him, like, Colton is my favorite player to watch. Mm-hmm. He was one of my favorite teammates of Walker when they played, and the kid is unbelievable. He's just so good.
I've heard, rumblings like, oh, you only talk about Colton Nash. I'm like, you watch Colton Nash?
He's unbelievable.
We probably don't talk about Colton Nash.
Walker says to me all the time, he's like, Dad, Colton's like the first or second best 2011 in the country. I said, I don't know if that's true, but he's pretty dynamic.
It's tough to rank kids by age just because in Minnesota we don't see the Vegas Junior Golden Knights. Right. We don't see the Junior Hurricanes. We don't see Florida Alliance. We don't see these Tier 1 teams. But, I mean, I'd be hard-pressed to pick that many 2011s that I would rather have on my team outside of Colton Nash.
Really happy for him.
On that subject, though, I do want to get your take on Tier 1 hockey, going from Minnesota where it is so insulated and so – it's just so a part of the culture. It's just what you do. And out that Tier 1, it's a little – there's obviously more travel involved. There's a whole new set of colors, and it's so much more showcasey than it is playing a regular season schedule.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I would tell you that we never took anything for granted during our time in Minnesota. 12 years, and the kids got to go through a system there, which was the community-based program. I think it's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect.
No.
But it really is amazing. And the depth of what talent is available both on the girls and the boys side in Minnesota, I don't think it can ever be replicated. I think I've been able during this past year to see some amazing talented players, boys and girls. Mm-hmm. But the way I describe it when people ask me how the experience has been for Walker is that in Minnesota, like definitely the Pee Wee AA and the best of the best at the Bantam AA, they're probably 3 lines deep, probably. Yeah. In Tier 1, some of the teams are 2 lines deep. So if you went best on best, it'd be really fun hockey to watch.
Yeah.
The challenge is, and even for the team that Walker plays on, you get to the 3rd line or 4th line and you just have to hold on a little bit.
Yeah.
And just hold on. But if you put the best on best, you end up watching some really great hockey. And so I think that's just I think most would say that it's just the depth. Now that being said, there are some Tier 1 programs that are unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
Certainly the Michigan ones like the Caesars and the Honey Baked, and then you start to move around the country. Omaha had a great program.
Yeah.
The Junior Sabres were great. Mm-hmm. Junior Pens are great. There's a lot of teams out of Philly are really good. On the West Coast, you have the Junior Ducks, the Junior Kings, the Junior Sharks. You have us. We're all similar, but a couple have a little bit of a head start on us, let's just say.
Yeah.
The Junior Kings and Junior Ducks have been doing it for much longer. They're a well-built-out program. They're really good. Junior Golden Knights are still in its infancy.
Yeah.
We're talking going into the 10th season, basically.
Which is, compared to those programs you just mentioned and compared to especially to Minnesota, it's nothing.
It's nothing. And so you end up with there's going to be an 18U team this year. Walker's team will be 16Us. There'll be a 15, a 14, a 13. If you took the best 1 or 2 off each team, they could probably go play elsewhere. Mm-hmm. They could go to Minnesota and play. I mean, Walker's on his 16U team. He's one of the better players. If we stayed, he probably would have been playing with Dean and the guys.
Yeah.
And who knows what would have happened. But the job took us here, and he's a trooper, and he's making the best of it. The challenge is just depth.
Yeah. And
there are so many players up there in Minnesota that it's I know that people don't take it for granted. I know they're proud of it, and they should be. It's amazing. And the other thing I would point to is the available coaches.
Yeah, Minnesota has this, and you could apply this to players too, this critical mass that's already built up.
It's crazy. So I mentioned earlier that I was lucky enough to coach both the girls and the boys, but on the girls' side, at one point or another, I got to coach with Jesse Bertliot, Pat Ryan, Kevin Deagle, David Eggert, like these grouping of guys that all had different levels of experience that were probably all the best of their high school program and then went on to play college. Jesse played at the Gophers, and Pat played at Air Force, and that was just one age grouping at Minnetonka. Mike Pasqua was there. He was usually coaching the girls 1 year older. It was almost like an embarrassment of riches, all these great coaches. And that was just Minnetonka, one age grouping. Edina had an amazing plethora of people. You could list all the big programs, and they all had almost too many coaches to go around. The challenge we have out west, I would tell you we have a challenge right now, is we don't have enough coaches for the boys and the girls. And so that's part of one of the many things that I need to work on is over the course of time is changing that. We're getting some good players, both boys and girls, in the junior program, but we need more coaches. And so I certainly throw that out to a lot of the listeners, especially those that are looking for their next opportunity. We know there's a lot of coaches that are former college players that their job's going to take them out to the West Coast, and that's sort of how a lot of us find them. And so, but it's something that we can get more coaches out here. It's only going to help the feeder system.
If you're tired of those Minnesota winters and you're looking for dry heat and In-N-Out burger, come on out to the Las Vegas area. In addition to coaches, there are just some innate challenges building a hockey program in Las Vegas. And one of the questions I had here was global growth. You mentioned this in a previous article about global growth, and it's easy to grow things globally. I think when, like soccer, you need a ball. You need a ball and you need a target to kick it at. With hockey, you need ice.
That's right.
You need infrastructure. You need a facility. You need a compressor and a Zamboni and all this stuff, especially because you can't really have natural ice here. So facilities-wise, where are some of the biggest challenges in growing hockey?
Again, I'll point back to our 12 years in Minnesota where you never had to drive more than 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to be at an arena. And again, we didn't take it for granted as a family, and I hope that no one in Minnesota does because it's amazing. And not only that, almost all of them are great ice hockey rinks. They're all great sheets of ice, nice hard ice, cold. And so the challenge that we have, like some other markets, is not enough ice. We've been off to such a fast start in the young amount of years that we need more ice. So currently we have the Vegas Golden Knights operate two different two-sheeters. So City National Arena, where we're sitting right now, America First Center, which is in Henderson, about 20 miles from here, 22 miles. Lee's Family Forum, which is a 6,000-seat arena, which plays host to the Henderson Silver Knights, our AHL affiliate, as well as a variety of other youth programming, concerts. Our indoor football league plays there. It's a busy arena, or busy facility. And then there's another facility that we don't operate, but they do a great job, and that's the Las Vegas Ice Center. But that's it. And so you have all these boys and girls that are playing here. So we have to magically somehow configure a schedule where kids can get on. Which is why 2 weeks after being here, I could quickly kind of realize what's going on. And since then, I've been here now 1 year exactly. And building a new facility is part of the plan.
Okay.
And so we've had some good conversations locally. We've identified some places where we could do this, and the idea would be a 4-sheeter. What that immediately jumps you into is doubling the amount of sheets you have, allows now every level to be aided by this idea. House League can be on at least one more night a week, 2 more nights a week. The travel and the Tier 1 kids, both AAA and AA, they get one more night of practice, hopefully. They can start to host more games, more friendlies. We can start to host more tournaments. Adult League, which is big in Minnesota, obviously, it's big here.
I bet.
We just don't have enough ice. And so we do the best we can, but adult hockey is going to benefit from this, and both boys and girls. So the girls program has exploded. We now have a PWHL team that's coming to the market. We won't own them or operate them, but we're going to really work closely with them. And so for us, we know that that's going to lead to more growth on the girls' side. The boys' side continues to grow. Some of the most talented teams we have are at that like 11, 12, 13 age level right now. And so building the facilities is really going to be a key driver. Coaches is a key driver. But also, you're right. You mentioned the weather earlier. The weather is important. We have kids that can train outside before they come into the rink pretty much every day of the year. And that's really unique. And so we have kids that are coming in better shape because they weren't sitting around at any point in time. They're doing something around the market. So we've seen some early signs of that already. But it's on us. We have to provide the resources and the facilities so these kids can really show up and keep developing.
Now, that sounds wonderful. Don't get me wrong. But in your job, money is a key factor. How do you balance wanting to do good things for the community, but also at the end of the day, it's not a charity. You can't simply set money on fire for the good of, the surrounding area.
Yeah, I would say that a sheet of ice, there's a business model around each sheet. And there's certainly a point of diminishing returns. If you build an 8-sheeter, a 10-sheeter, there's a big facility in Boston that's like the one place you could probably do that besides Minnesota. But for us, we know based on the demand that's already here that whether we do 3 or 4 or 5 or even 6 sheets, we've got enough pent-up demand with what we already know about.
Okay.
That does not take into account the other events we will start to now bid for. We already get USA Hockey national tournaments here, which is great. We just had the USA Hockey Pacific District qualifying, let's just say, sessions where the 15s, the 16s, and the 17s could advance. The 15s in particular, that was the one Walker competed in. They took 9 kids from that to go to national camp. So those 9 kids are going to see Dean and some of the others at national camp, which is amazing. But that was here. We have the facilities to do that. And so our conversations with USA Hockey and even the NHL, when we get this thing built, there's no reason why this can't be sort of the West Coast flag for USA Hockey even. We have the hotels in the area. We have beautiful restaurants, amazing attractions. We have Red Rock Canyon, which is 8 minutes from right here. You could go hiking in Red Rock.
Might need to go over there.
8 minutes away. It's crazy. You're in you think you're in a different world. And so we have the ingredients to really attract young athletes. But we're also looking at this as other sports. For example, and those in Minnesota know this quite well, lacrosse and hockey are complementary sports.
Very complementary.
We have an athlete in our house, Walker. He plays both. He's better at both sports because of the other. And so lacrosse is growing here. It just got sanctioned at the state level to compete for state championships. So now more teams are popping up. What they don't have, though, are fields.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. And so as part of this campus that I'm describing, when we get this thing built, the hope is to also have a couple of turf fields so we can start to have, of course, soccer, but have lacrosse games, tournaments, start attracting some of these things in the off season. Though all of those things add up to, yes, heavy community service right there, but there are also business models around it.
Yeah.
Sponsors want to attract themselves to what I'm describing, culinary partners, retail. Really, there isn't one thing that's going to drive this machine. They all sort of feed together. And so we're excited about it.
I want to ask a question about the meta vision of Las Vegas, because I think for people of a certain age, younger than I, they have a different image of Las Vegas. I can still come to Las Vegas as someone who doesn't gamble, and I'm still sort of seduced by the glitz and the glamour, but I think for younger people, Las Vegas doesn't hold the same sway. So is what you're describing just one more example of how Las Vegas has been able to reinvent itself over and over and over again?
Yeah, I would say what's interesting is that credit to Bill Foley, our owner, he had the guts to try to put a hockey team here. And what it's led to is that other sports properties here, on their way here, or potentially on their way here in a few years, and we'll talk about that in a second. But living here, I can tell you that we loved our time in Minnesota. We loved it. We miss it. But I'm similar. We had this conversation earlier. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't gamble.
Yeah.
I'm the worst person to be professing my love for Vegas. But that's not accurate. Vegas and what happens down on the Strip is amazing. It's some of the most beautiful hotels and restaurants you'll ever see. It's amazing. That's actually where our arena is, where we play our games for the Golden Knights. But most of us live out in Summerlin, where we are here, or in Henderson. And out there, it's like most other suburban areas in other big markets. We have the best shopping, the best restaurants. Like I said, we can go hiking in 8 minutes into a major state park that people would drive 8 hours to South Dakota to do, as an example. And we have it right here, 8 minutes away. And so I've found in 1 year here, I already knew this coming here. I was here enough on business, but it's been really fascinating to just watch family. And we've recruited a lot of business talent out here since arriving, and they all come from different places, a couple from Minnesota, and they love it because they can be outside every day. Yeah. They can go golfing. They can go hiking. Yes, we are in an arena 7 days a week for work purposes, but we're going to leave here tonight, and it's going to be nice and cool and a nice breeze. Yeah. And so that's attracting business talent. It attracts hockey talent. It also attracts corporate support because these corporations are understanding that it's not just the Strip. That's important. The casino industry and the travel industry, it's amazing. It's important. But it's not the only thing here. Yeah. We have other businesses that are coming here because it's business friendly. There's no state income tax for what we earn. I had someone mention that to me, how important that was going to be, and now that I've been here,
now you get it.
I get it. Minnesota was not inexpensive to be there. But
I think we're number 5 in the country.
I know it's very, very expensive. So, yeah, I think that they've done a great job of making this more than just that one piece of roadway that people knew 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. The fact is, the Golden Knights are here. The Raiders are here. That's awesome to see NFL football as someone who's been in the NFL for 20 years. The A's are coming, and then
the Aces are here too.
The Aces are here. The PWHL is coming this fall. Women's professional volleyball is coming back here in the fall. They'll be playing at our arena. So the Thrill is the name of that franchise. So that's exciting. And then as many of the reports are out there, our owner Bill is really, he's put his name in the hat to hopefully attract an NBA team here. And so we think we have a great story to tell. He's an amazing executive person, builder. So we think we have a great story to tell. We have a great arena. The training facility that I've described on the NHL side would theoretically be right next door to an NBA training facility. So if you can imagine a campus where you now have the state-of-the-art NHL facility, state-of-the-art NBA training facility, a boutique hotel, what we would call a limited service hotel, which would be perfect for the families coming in for these tournaments. We now have all the ingredients and add in a few more restaurants that people can do and also go shopping. You now have a reason for a lot of these tournaments to come here instead of somewhere else. And the Blaine tournaments are amazing in the fall, so we don't want to ever compete with something like that. But other parts of the year, this is a great spot to go.
It is. I think about Vegas in kind of a vacuum, and I don't think you guys will have any problem attracting an NBA franchise considering how many NBA players come from California. I mean, Vegas is a hop, skip, and a jump for a lot of those guys coming from California. I want to go back for a second. I want to know how you got into the facilities part of this. You built Yankee Stadium. You helped the Dolphins transition from the gorgeous Pro Player Stadium to Hard Rock. How did you manage to wean your way into that niche as opposed to sales or simply walking around a suite, shaking hands and patting backs at a game?
Yeah, I think that where it started was actually in Miami. Our owner at the time, Mr. Wayne Huizenga, brilliant man. He was way ahead of his time.
I've only heard good things from people that worked with him.
He was amazing. I just wish we could have been around him more. I left, and then he sold the team, but amazing person. So we were going to renovate for what was going to be the Super Bowl, the one that Peyton Manning beat the Bears.
Okay.
Prince was the halftime show.
Was that
It was going to be the February of 07 game.
07. Okay.
So the 06 season, February 7.
Okay.
So we started renovating basically 18 months in advance. So I got on private planes and flew to Kohler, Wisconsin to meet with Herb Kohler himself.
Okay.
I mean, you want to talk about way ahead of his time. I remember that meeting with Mr. Kohler. This would have been in '05.
Mm-hmm.
He drew on a napkin his vision of what a public bathroom would be in the future. Mm-hmm. At that time, we had automatic soap. You didn't have automatic everything else.
Okay.
This is 21 years ago. He sketches out automatic faucet, soap, towel, toilet paper dispenser, and even the door on the stalls.
Okay.
Almost like Star Trek. He's like, I don't think that this should take much longer for all public restrooms to be. He wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong.
No, I mean, we're still waiting on the doors.
Waiting on the door thing.
And the toilet paper.
Well, the toilet paper technology is different.
Oh.
Right? But his point with all of that is that he was already thinking of things that all of us in the venue world should already be thinking about. And he was right. So we got to work with Kohler on some things on the plumbing side of what was, it was Pro Player turns into Dolphin Stadium. So we did that for the Super Bowl. So going to New York to build a stadium, sell corporate sponsorship, but do it with a facility eye to it was a little bit different. I wasn't just selling a sign and some tickets.
Yeah.
One of the big pieces to that project was selling all the culinary. So I would go with our culinary guy to go meet with Wayne Norbitz at Nathan's Famous, as an example, the hot dog company. And we would go and roll out the blueprints and talk about 6-foot grills versus 8-foot grills, flat grills versus fryer dispense, for the frying banks. So the stuff I learned on that project was so far beyond traditional sponsorship, although that's what I did need to do. I came out of that with such a different thought around how to build something. So fast forward a few more years later, and the call comes in to come to Minnesota to build US Bank Stadium. I got a call from Brian LaFamina at the NFL league office. To this day, one of my dear friends. He's like, John, you're not going to believe this, but Minnesota needs like someone like you. You've sold sponsorship, you've built. They got approval at the state level in Minnesota earlier, like spring of 13. Minnesota got approval. And so I flew up there in August of 13. It was like, this is exactly what we should do. So that fast forward, September, October, I start in Minnesota. My first night as a Vikings employee was at the old Metrodome. It was the Color Rush uniform night. Cordero Patterson returns a kick 107 yards against the Packers.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, this is my first night as an employee. Like, this is amazing.
Can only go down from here.
We got trounced.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers picked us apart. I want to say it was like 28-7 or something crazy like that. But it allowed us to really do something in Minnesota that had never been done before, to reset the market, which benefited a lot of different people by us resetting the market in terms of how sponsorship was. In the old Metrodome, the Vikings did business a certain way. We had a chance to really level set. And for US Bank Stadium, and I know that a lot of you have had a chance to visit that, but it allowed us to take it to the next level for technology in the building, the infrastructure, how you all move around the stadium, how you sit in your seats, what your suite experience would be like, what the visual experience would be like. We had a chance to do it all. And so I felt like this was really fascinating for me. With all my years of experience going in, I was hired to do this one thing. But the moment I got there, over those first 6 months, and I'm working with Kevin Warren and Steve LaCroix and Steve Papa and Lester Bagley, just an amazing group of execs. All-stars. I had like all the answers to the test. It was like,
okay,
because I'd already built Yankee Stadium and already renovated another one, and a topic would come up, and most in that room hadn't built something before to that scale. Steve LaCroix worked on Conseco Fieldhouse, so he had some great experience, but the others hadn't, even as experienced as they were. And it was like, wait, I actually have the answer to that. We should maybe do this, or we could do this. And then another day would pass, and the next meeting it'd be a totally different topic, and I have a use case on that. Here's what we did in New York. And so it turned into this thing where within a short year, they added on the responsibility to handle all the technology infrastructure.
Okay.
So I had this unusual title of partnerships and technology. And so I would negotiate the deals with Verizon and CenturyLink and Cisco, while at the same time negotiating the deals with Molson and Pepsi and all these other brands that use Land O'Lakes, Pentair, Polaris, all these others. And so we had a chance to do something that I don't know that will be done again like that. And the beauty of all of what I'm describing is that we opened that stadium far more successful than anyone would have expected, including at the league level, and which accelerated the Egan project.
Because you proved that you could do it.
That's right. The ownership group, Mark and Lenny and Ziggy, Wilf, they always had it on their list to do a training facility at some point.
Yeah.
But it was like 10 years later. We did so well with how we built and designed and monetized that stadium that the Wilfs they fast-tracked it, and they found the land in Egan, and it allowed us to now do something else. So then we built Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. And so every one of these things I'm describing, almost 30 years into this, they've been almost like mic drop moments where once we got done building Yankee Stadium, that could have been enough.
Yeah.
Just retire, be done.
Yeah.
And then to think that I had a chance to do another massive project like US Bank Stadium, drop the mic again, and then to build TCO Performance Center, which is still to this day the standard. It's the best practice facility around.
Well, the Vikings, according to NFLPA surveys,
That's
the Vikings are like number 1 or number 2 in
Yeah.
almost everything.
That facility is among, 7 or 8 of those markers. It's amazing. And thankfully the Wilfs supported what we were trying to do, and they gave us the resources to really do it the right way. It's beautiful. Then we had the chance to build Omni Viking Lakes Hotel, the first hotel that had a couple of corporate partners that we worked with get involved. And it's one of the first hotels that is a serious nod to the Vikings without calling it a Vikings hotel. Meaning, if you walk around that hotel, you'll see nods to Viking lore without a bunch of Norseman heads everywhere. And so that was different. Certainly different for Omni to think about. And so we had all these amazing opportunities there to do this, and we did it at a really high level. And so the challenge here is to really outdo some of that stuff. And I think that's why I feel really confident and perfectly positioned to really help this organization do that, because I've been part of some of the most amazing projects ever, in my opinion. And we have Bill as an owner who's supportive of this. We'll have resources to really do it the right way. And when we do, it's going to provide opportunities for boys, girls to get on the ice, maybe for the first time, or maybe to accelerate their growth on the ice, help them develop as young athletes, whether it's hockey or lacrosse or really any of the sports. If we do this the right way, or when we do it the right way, we'll have the facilities that athletes can come train here.
Yeah.
And not go back east or not go out west further. And that's the goal.
And on the back end, you create fans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The fan base here, it's really unbelievable. I think from afar, we probably all assumed it's a lot of tourists that go to these games.
Right.
It's not it at all. Actually, it's 80+% of our in-house crowd is typically locals.
Yeah.
And that is not what people thought would happen, including the league. They just assumed it was going to be a heavy casino audience that was going to be here for a weekend or parties or bachelor, whatever else. It's not it at all. And so this Vegas-born identity, it's real. And so it's the one professional franchise that was born here.
Yeah.
The Raiders weren't born here. Now the A's are also going to move here. They weren't born here. NBA team would be born here, theoretically.
Yeah.
So if that happens, so the market has been amazing. I think it's just in your time as you move around town, pay attention to some things like you'll recognize in Minnesota. Brett Tabor at the Vikings was responsible for the Vikings license plate program.
Okay.
So you see those plates around town?
Oh, yeah. I make fun of those people all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's a great program. The money goes to the foundation. It's great. In this market, it's an insane, I'm going to get the number wrong. I want to say it's about 80,000 plates in this market alone.
I've seen so many
Are the
today.
VGK plates.
Yeah.
And credit to the team here that was able to work with the state and the DMV and get that thing put together. But it just shows you the passionate fan base here. And we sell out every game. It's loud.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great show. We're continuing to test out new things. We have a colleague here that actually joined us from the Vikings, and he was responsible for, his name was Brian Harper. He was responsible for a lot of what you enjoy at Vikings games from an entertainment perspective. He's the brains behind a lot of what Vikings Entertainment Network started as, what it became, and how it lives today. And so he's been with us since the turn of the calendar, and he's already put his fingerprints on what's an already amazing game experience, but it was already winning awards, and we decided to introduce things like pyro for the postseason.
Yeah.
And these things that we have a hard job in front of us because this is a market where they expect to be entertained.
Yeah.
Now, it's worked out great because the team on the ice has been amazing.
Yeah.
Every year, really, only missing the playoffs one time.
Yeah, and much to the chagrin of the rest of the National Hockey League. What do you think would have happened? And I know you've only been here for a year, but what if the team wasn't good? What do you think would have happened if the team had stunk?
I think I'll give a lot of credit still to the fan base that they still would have supported them.
Okay.
When the more you come visit, and hopefully you'll continue to visit, they're just as supportive. Even the year we didn't make the playoffs, I wasn't here, but my understanding is they didn't run for the hills. They were still there, and they came back stronger the next year. I think it's unusual to get off to such a fast start and continue to compete. What's really amazing is that right before the Stanley Cup Finals started, Kelly McCrimmon, our general manager, so George McPhee's the president, so he and I are peers. Kelly McCrimmon's a GM. Two of the best to do it. And yes, some around, I would say more media. It's not even so much the other teams. It's more the media grabs onto this thing that they're this hated duo or whatever. But the reality is they've been so smart with how they operate. And the first team that made it during that first year, people are going to point to how they handled the entry draft. The reality is when the team won the Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, it was an entirely different team, built in an entirely different way. And this year's team that made it to the Stanley Cup was also mostly different compared to the team that won the Cup in terms of how it was configured. So credit to Kelly and George. They've been to 3 Stanley Cups in 9 years, and they've done it a slightly different way each time.
Yeah.
I can't even think of that happening in any other sport. And I've worked in most of the major professional sports, and it's really amazing. And even this year, we were right there. Just a couple goals here and there, and just Carolina was good.
They were.
I was in Raleigh for 2 of those games, and both times I flew home thinking, gosh, I don't feel like they were better that night. I just feel like if we could have just had one extra bounce here, one there, who knows? But so this team that's going to come back again next season is going to be, I'm guessing, looking to prove themselves again. And
no Dorofeyev, though.
No, that hurts.
Unfortunately.
He was amazing, but good for him. The deal he got from the Rangers is not where we could have gone. It
had to happen. It had to happen just money-wise.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up George and Kelly. I say it like I know them. I've never met these people in my entire life.
They're really, really great guys, super talented.
But it amazes me the level of energy that people like that can have when they constantly have to restock the cupboard or rebuild the barn or figure out how we're going to compete in this market. Because going to the Stanley Cup final in the first year set an incredibly high bar.
Right.
I mean, the fans might be passionate, but if you go 2 or 3 or 4 years without getting into the playoffs, they're going to start to get a little bit of cranky because they've already tasted the cake. They're not going to settle for cookies. But the fact that they've done it with 3 different teams, I don't know how you wake up in the morning like, I got to do this again. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, they're super competitive. Our owner, Bill Foley, has given them the resources to keep going. The thing is that I think other teams and other markets and other sports, if they watch what's really happening, it starts with Bill.
Yeah.
Bill wants to win. He will spend to the cap. There are a lot of other NHL teams that don't spend to the cap. So it's not hard to go online and look at when the season started this year, what teams were way under the cap and what teams were at the cap. Bill wants to win. And so every year it's the same mandate. We want to win. We're not, yeah, of course it's a business and we hope to do okay and generate revenue, but he wants to win, which is why if this works out on the NBA side, we already know what's going to happen. He's going to want to win. And so whoever, if this even happens, whoever are going to be the counterparts for George and Kelly, like they're going to have the resources to go do what they need to do to go compete. And so, again, who knows if that's going to happen? There's a lot of road ahead of us to get there. But on the hockey side, I will say it does make it fun for us. And I will say it did attract me when they asked me about this a year ago, because I knew that if you get the right pieces in place on the business side and really have it positioned correctly, when the team wins, rocket ship. When the team doesn't win, but is still at least relevant, it's still a rocket ship. And that's our job on the business side, is to reconfigure the entire org in such a way that we become result proof. What I mean by that is it doesn't matter if we won or lost. As long as we're relevant, the business is going to hold its head in a good spot.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is the team is good. And so we can now take advantage of the systems we've been putting in place over the last year and the people we've been putting in place and the new ways we're looking at the business. So we're really excited about where it's going to go next because we know the team's going to be good next year.
Yeah.
It's basically the same roster. And then when we start to dig to build up what would be a new training facility, all these different things, they all start to come together. You empower people to make the right decisions. You hire the best talent. You give them a chance to make some mistakes, but have a lot of success. You really pour into everybody. And that's really the new mentality here is like everyone matters. It's not about 4 or 5 or 6 people. Everybody matters. So the business floor, kind of on the other side of that wall, we all have a role to play. And when you can convince the business side that they actually matter to what happens on the ice, it's the same thing we tried to profess in Minnesota at the Vikings. The revenue team that I had a chance to lead, to me, the best revenue team in the NFL. We knew what our role was. We knew that if we did our job, it allowed the GM and Rob Brzezinski to do their thing, right? Rob Brzezinski would hit me late at night with a text like, thanks, buddy, because he knows that if we did our job, it allowed him to go sign whichever player.
Yep.
And everyone has a role to play. And so the best story I tell a lot of the folks, especially those who aren't as close to the sport, but they work here, they just don't know as much about the sport, is I share with them that every goal that's scored, if you were to actually rewind it, there's probably 4, 5, or 6 things that happened. Every single goal. Anything we make happen on the business side, there's probably the same type of idea. There's probably 3 or 4 people that had a hand in it. It may have been a phone call, an intro, a visit, an idea, and someone gets to hopefully take it over the finish line. But when you can have your business team have the same mentality of what hopefully the hockey team is also professing, or the sports side, amazing the attitude that happens on the floor. People are fighting for each other now in a good way. They care about what the person on the left is doing. And the sales side, the world I certainly come from, you have revenue people that instead of every man for themselves or woman for themselves, it's I care what Peter's trying to do. You know, I'm going to stay late tonight and help build out this deck because I know that if Peter gets his foot in the door, he's got it. But I'm going to help him on this. And when a deal gets done on the floor, it doesn't matter who got it done. As a unit, we got this done. And by doing that, we allow, or we at least put our hockey operations team in the best position to be successful. They still have to do their job, but our job is to put them in a position to be successful.
Wow.
And so it's a little bit different, but we're seeing some really good results already in less than 1 year of really this mentality.
Well, and that spend of the cap and compete every year thing, it amazes me the reputation that Vegas has among casual fans when in reality they should want what Vegas has because there are so many owners. I'm thinking specifically of the Nuttings in Pittsburgh with the Major League Baseball. And you're not going to say anything disparaging about another franchise. I will. There are owners who simply look at these, and I'm a fan, so I think of the Vikings and the Twins and the Wild and the Timberwolves as representations of the Twin Cities and sort of a prize for the citizens of those cities. You know, I work so hard and I want something to entertain me, and this is what I do. But these owners who treat these simply as assets and as not as cultural touchstones, so they don't spend the cap and they're not all that interested in winning. All they want to do is make that valuation higher and higher and higher so they can eventually sell it. Every fan across every sport should want what Bill Foley is doing.
Yeah. It's so funny you said that because NHL Network, one of the morning shows during the Stanley Cup actually, was on this exact topic. And this was a reputable person who kind of cut off the other host and said, hold on, every market should want what the Golden Knights are doing. Mm-hmm. Their owner cares. He just wants to win. And he's providing the resources for George and Kelly to go out there and make this team the best they possibly can. That we made a coaching change late in the year, but those guys were right. Like, they've been right about just about every single move they've made. And, so we're excited and we support them, and we're really just here to help serve and get this thing ready to go for them. And we get going again in September, late September. Yeah. But you're right. I would tell you that in Minnesota, being there 12 years, the Wolves really want to win as well.
I think they do too.
It's hard. There's so many factors in the NFL. I think with any league there is, but I hope the Vikings fans understand that the Wolves seriously want to win. It's crushing them that they just can't get this thing, but it's not from trying. It's not from the resources. They gave us every resource possible, right. Certainly on the business side, to create the best stadium, the best training facility, go hire the best coach, pay Coach O'Connell whatever you need to. And so I hope they do it, because it's certainly, I do think that the Wolves, they do treat it like a community piece. Yeah. And I think Bill has done the same thing here. This is the community's team. Yeah. This is a Vegas-born team, and we'll keep competing.
What is your biggest dream for the Vegas Golden Knights, John?
Beyond the obvious of winning the Stanley Cup, I think that if we can fast forward a few years and we have built facilities where more kids are getting on the ice than ever before, and at some point there are kids that start coming out of this market and actually get drafted because they started here, they played here, and they developed here, that would be amazing for the sport in this market. I know there are one-off stories of the Austin Matthews of the world, and that's it. You can count them on one hand. Yeah. But I think eventually, I don't think it's impossible to think that if we provide the right facilities, the right coaching, the right resources, we can have boys and girls that come out of this market and play in the NHL, play in the PWHL, play in Europe. Who knows? But I would love for that to be something that we leave as our legacy. I think that it's the aspect of being able to build something again and have the opportunity for young athletes to sort of find who they are. Whether they go into the professional ranks or not, they just become great athletes, great student athletes, great people in the community. And maybe we have some part of that. That's pretty special if we could do that. So
wow. Boy, I couldn't have summed that up better than if I could have tried. John, I really appreciate you giving me way too much time. Oh my gosh, we're at an hour 17. This is awesome. I asked you for a half hour and you gave me more than double that. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for letting me into this incredible little cubby hole where you do your Vegas Golden Knights media. Any final words for our adoring fans?
No, I think just continue to support Youth Hockey Hub. I was joking with Peter after. I've been a big fan for years, and 2 of our 3 kids grew up through the system at Minnetonka, so we're well versed in all the tournaments, and they've played in them. I've coached in a couple of them. It's really a beautiful content machine, one that I hope at some point other markets get to have these types of resources. But no, I think just we're still supporting you from out here. Walker, myself, Scarlett, Grace, my wife Meredith, like, we're still huge fans of what's going on in Minnesota, and we still cheer for for the Blue.
Oh, yeah.
Coach Goldsworthy. Hopefully he can do it next year. And we look forward to seeing all of you if you make it out west. Peter will have my contact information if anyone needs to reach me, and hopefully we'll see you at a game at some point.
This guy gave me his cell phone number. You idiot. No, just kidding. Thank you so much again, John. That was so much fun for me. That's
Awesome.
John Penhollow, the Vegas Golden Knights.
You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. You need to stay up out the streets if you can't take the heat. Cause it get cold like Minnesota. Cold like Minnesota.